The headset doesn't feel like anything he owns. Everything Colton Zale owns feels a certain way. The watch, the cufflinks, the shoes, the steering wheel of the car, the leather chair in the office. Everything has weight and texture and the particular quality of objects that cost what they cost, because someone designed them to feel expensive. The headset feels like $11. It feels like the plastic it's made of, and the foam on the ear cups is compressed and warm from the person who wore it on the previous shift and who left it on the desk the way a soldier leaves a foxhole, quickly, gratefully, with no desire to return. His name is Colton Zale. He is 51 years old. He is the founder and CEO of Sentinel Ridge Insurance, a property and casualty insurance company headquartered in a steel and glass tower in Columbus, Ohio, that employs 4,000 people, insures 2.6 million policyholders, and generates $1.4 billion in annual premium revenue. The company's tagline, the one that appears on every commercial, every billboard, every mailer, is, "When you need us, we're there." The tagline was tested by a focus group. The focus group said it felt warm and reassuring and human. The focus group did not call the customer service line at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday and wait 43 minutes to speak to a representative who is being timed on every call and scored on every interaction and who is trying to explain a denied claim while a supervisor listens through a monitoring system and a clock on the screen counts the seconds the way a bomb counts down. Colton built Sentinel Ridge 24 years ago. He was 27, fresh out of an actuarial position at a large carrier in Hartford where he'd learned two things. First, that insurance is mathematics, the calculation of risk, the pricing of uncertainty, the science of predicting what will go wrong and charging appropriately for the promise to make it right. Second, that the mathematics and the humanity of insurance occupy different floors of the same building, and the floors don't talk to each other. His father, Hugo, was a claims adjuster for 36 years, not for a large carrier, for a regional mutual in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, the kind of company where the adjuster knows the policyholder by name and the claim is not a file number, but a kitchen that flooded or a car that was totaled or a tree that fell on the roof during the storm that everyone in town remembers because everyone in town was in it. Hugo drove to every claim. He sat at kitchen tables. He looked at the damage. He looked at the person. He wrote the check. "The check is not the product," Hugo said. "The check is the proof. The product is the moment when someone's life falls apart and you show up and you say, 'I see what happened. I understand. And here's what we're going to do.'" Hugo retired at 63. He died at 67, a heart attack in the driveway of the house in Mechanicsburg, coming home from church. Colton got the call at his desk in Columbus. He was reviewing Q3 premium growth. The premium growth was 11%. His father was dead. The numbers on the screen didn't change. They never do. Colton built Sentinel Ridge on Hugo's philosophy: the kitchen table, the handshake, the check that is proof of a promise. But the company grew, and growth does to philosophy what weather does to paint. It strips it layer by layer until the surface that remains is smooth and uniform, and the original color is buried under coats of efficiency and scale, and the particular brand of corporate optimization that turns a kitchen table company into a call center company. The call center is in Dublin, Ohio, a suburb of Columbus, 12 miles from the headquarters tower. It occupies the second and third floors of an office building that was once a TJ Maxx distribution center. The building was converted in 2019 with cubicle walls and overhead fluorescents and the acoustic ceiling tiles that absorb sound the way insurance absorbs risk, partially, imperfectly, with gaps that let the noise through. 420 employees work in the call center. They handle 12,000 calls per day. They are the voice of Sentinel Ridge, the human beings who answer the phone when the tagline says, "We're there." The customer satisfaction score came back 6 weeks ago, 34%. Industry average, 42%. Average hold time, 37 minutes. Call abandonment rate, 28%, meaning more than a quarter of the people who call Sentinel Ridge hang up before a human being ever answers. The Net Promoter Score, the metric that measures whether customers would recommend the company, is -12. Negative. The people who call Sentinel Ridge for help would actively recommend that their friends go somewhere else. The call center is the front line. the COO told Colton. A man named Irving Patel, who had spent 20 years in operations and who understood that a company's reputation is not built by its commercials, but by the person who answers the phone. The front line is broken, the hold times are too long, the scripts are too rigid, the agents are burned out. The claims process is designed for the company, not for the customer. If you want to know what Sentinel Ridge feels like, don't read the satisfaction report. Call the number. I'm going to do more than call the number, Colton said. I'm going to answer it. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from today, because this story is about a billionaire who built an insurance company on his father's promise and then sat in a cubicle to find out what that promise sounds like when the phone rings. Monday, 7:45 a.m. Colton walks through the employee entrance of the Dublin call center wearing khakis, a Sentinel Ridge polo, and a lanyard badge that says Nathan Zeller, Claims Agent Tier 1. His hair, normally styled in the deliberate silver that his wife calls the executive, is uncombed and pushed to one side. His watch is gone. His shoes are the kind of brown Oxfords that a claims agent might own, scuffed, comfortable, the shoes of a man who sits in a chair for 8 hours and doesn't need leather soles. The floor is already buzzing. The morning shift starts at 8, but agents arrive early to log into the system, a process that takes 11 minutes due to the software loading sequence that IT has been asked to optimize and that IT has not optimized because the optimization requires a server upgrade and the server upgrade requires a capital expenditure, and the capital expenditure is in the Q2 budget, and it is currently January. So every agent, every morning, sits at a desk for 11 minutes watching a loading screen while the phones are already ringing in the queue and the callers are already waiting and the hold time clock is already counting. Colton's training took 2 days. Compressed, the normal training for a new Tier 1 agent is 2 weeks, but Wendell Royce, the call center director and the only person who knows Colton's identity, condensed it to a weekend crash course. Colton learned the phone system, the CRM interface, the claims workflow, and the script. The script. The script is the thing. Every call at Sentinel Ridge follows a script, not a loose framework, a word-for-word script displayed on the agent's screen that dictates every phase of the conversation: the greeting, the verification, the issue identification, the response, the resolution, the close. The script was written by the customer experience team, a department of 6 people on the 8th floor of the headquarters tower who have never worked in the call center and who designed the script based on best practices that were derived from a consulting engagement that cost $350,000 and that produced a 200-page playbook that the agents call the Bible, with the specific irony of people who are required to follow a book they didn't write and don't believe in. The script begins. Thank you for calling Sentinel Ridge Insurance. My name is Agent Name. I'm here to help you today. Can I start with your policy number? The script ends. Thank you for choosing Sentinel Ridge. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? We appreciate your loyalty. Between the beginning and the end, the script provides responses for every scenario. Claim filings, billing inquiries, coverage questions, complaints. The responses are designed to be empathetic and solution-oriented, words that appear in the playbook 37 times and that mean, in practice, acknowledge the customer's feeling with a scripted phrase, then redirect to the process. I understand how frustrating this must be. Page 42 of the playbook, filed under Empathy Statements Tier 1. The phrase is supposed to communicate care. The phrase, when spoken by the 400th agent to the 12,000th caller, communicates nothing. It communicates the sound of a human being reading a sentence that a consultant wrote and that a manager approved, and that has been repeated so many times that the words have been emptied of meaning the way a river empties into the sea. The form remains, the content is gone. If this story has touched your heart, take a moment to share it and subscribe to Untold Hearts, because sometimes the person who answers the phone is drowning in a script that won't let them swim. The first call comes at 8:02 a.m. Colton puts on the headset, the $11 headset with the compressed foam, and clicks Available on the screen. The system assigns a call. The caller has been on hold for 26 minutes. Thank you for calling Sentinel Ridge Insurance. My name is Nathan. I'm here to help you today. Can I start with your policy number? Finally, I've been on hold for almost half an hour. I apologize for the wait. Can I start with your policy number? The caller is a woman named Mrs. Fontaine. She is 67 years old. She has a homeowner's policy. A pipe burst in her basement 3 weeks ago. She filed a claim. The claim was assigned to an adjuster. The adjuster came to her house, took photos, and said he'd follow up within 5 business days. That was 14 business days ago. Mrs. Fontaine has called 3 times. Each time, she was on hold for 30-plus minutes. Each time, she was told the claim is in process. Each time, she asked what in process means and was given the scripted response. Your claim is currently being reviewed by our claims team. We appreciate your patience. I don't want to appreciate my patience, Mrs. Fontaine says. I want to know why my basement has been flooded for 3 weeks and nobody at your company has done anything about it. Colton looks at the screen. The script says, I understand how frustrating this must be. Let me look into the status of your claim. He reads the claim file. The claim was assigned. The adjuster visited. The adjuster submitted the estimate. The estimate is sitting in a queue, the approval queue, which requires a senior adjuster to review the estimate and authorize the payout. The senior adjuster reviews an average of 40 claims per day. The queue has 212 claims. Mrs. Fontaine's claim is number 187 in the queue. At 40 per day, the review will reach her claim in approximately 4.5 business days, which means the total elapsed time from the pipe burst to the authorization will be approximately 6 weeks. 6 weeks. A pipe burst in a basement, water damage, mold risk. The kind of claim that Hugo Zale would have driven to on the day it was reported, sat at the kitchen table, written the check, and resolved before the mold had a chance to start. Mrs. Fontaine, I can see your claim in our system. The adjuster submitted the estimate, and it's currently waiting for authorization. I'm showing approximately 4 to 5 more business days for the review. 4 to 5 more days? It's been 3 weeks. I understand. You don't understand. You're reading a script. I can hear it. Every person I've talked to reads the same script. I understand how frustrating this must be. You don't understand. My basement has mold. I can smell it from the kitchen. I'm 67 years old, and I'm sleeping upstairs because the basement smells like rot. And your company, the company I've paid premiums to for 19 years, can't approve a claim in less than 6 weeks. Don't tell me you understand. Just fix it. The script on the screen says, I appreciate your patience, Mrs. Fontaine. I want to assure you that your claim is a priority for us. Colton doesn't read the script. He closes his eyes for 1 second. He thinks about Hugo. He thinks about the kitchen table. He thinks about the check that is not the product. The product is the moment when someone's life falls apart and you show up. Mrs. Fontaine, you're right. I'm sorry. Not the scripted sorry. I'm actually sorry. You've been waiting too long. Can you hold for 2 minutes while I speak to a supervisor? He puts her on hold. He flags the claim. He walks to the supervisor station, a raised desk at the center of the floor where the shift supervisor monitors the queue and the metrics and the agents. The supervisor is a woman named Park Ji-yeon, mid-30s, who's been at the call center for 7 years and who wears the expression of a person who processes 200 escalations per day and who has developed the ability to make decisions at the speed of the queue. I have a claim that's been open 3 weeks, Colton says. Pipe burst, mold risk. The estimate is sitting at 187 in the approval queue. The customer has called 3 times. Can we escalate? Ji-yeon looks at the screen. The queue is the queue. If I pull her claim out of order, every claim behind her gets pushed back. She has mold. Half of them have mold. The queue isn't the problem. The problem is we have 2 senior adjusters reviewing claims for 400 agents. The bottleneck is at the top, not the bottom. 2 senior adjusters? For the whole center? For the whole company. 2. They each review 40 claims a day. We generate 300 claims a day. Do the math. Colton does the math. 300 claims per day, 80 reviews per day. A daily deficit of 220 claims. The queue grows by 220 claims every day. The queue will never shrink. The queue is a structural inevitability, the product of a staffing decision that someone made in a budget meeting, a decision to keep the senior adjuster headcount at 2, because senior adjusters cost $110,000 a year, and the budget allocated 2 and 2 is what the budget can afford, and the budget does not account for the 220 claims per day that accumulate in the queue like water in a basement that nobody has fixed. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, costs nothing, and tells us to keep making stories like this one. Back to the story. Colton goes back to the phone. He takes Mrs. Fontaine off hold. Mrs. Fontaine, I've escalated your claim. I can't give you an exact date, but I've flagged it as urgent due to the mold risk. Someone from the claims team will contact you within 48 hours. That's what the last person said. I know, and I'm sorry they said it and it didn't happen. This time it will. How do you know? Because I'm going to follow up personally. I'm going to call you Thursday to make sure someone contacted you. If they haven't, I'll escalate again. You have my word. There's a pause on the line. The pause is the sound of a woman who has been making calls for 3 weeks and receiving scripts and being told to appreciate her patience, and who is hearing, for the first time, a human voice instead of a corporate one. Thank you, she says. Thank you. That's the first real thing anyone at your company has said to me. The call ends. The screen displays the metrics. Call duration, 8 minutes and 42 seconds. The target is 6 minutes. Colton exceeded the target by 2 minutes and 42 seconds. The quality monitoring system flags the call for review because the duration exceeded the threshold and because Colton deviated from the script 14 times during the conversation. 14 deviations. 14 moments where a human being spoke like a human being instead of reading from a playbook that cost $350,000. The agent in the next cubicle, a woman named Suki, mid-20s, with the specific posture of a person who has been sitting in an ergonomically incorrect chair for 3 years and whose back has adapted by surrendering, glances at him. First day, she says. Yeah. You talked to her for 8 minutes. Was that too long? The target is 6. You get flagged at 7. Flagged twice in a week and you get a coaching session. 3 coaching sessions in a quarter and you go on a performance improvement plan. PIP means they're building a file to fire you. So yeah, 8 minutes is too long. What if the customer needs 8 minutes? The customer always needs 8 minutes. The system gives you 6. You learn to fit the need inside the system. You talk faster. You skip the parts of the script that don't matter, the empathy statements, the verification confirmations, the "is there anything else?" You get the policy number, you identify the issue, you read the resolution, you close. 6 minutes. That's the job. What about actually helping them? Suki looks at him. The look is not hostile. It's the look of a person who has been asked a question that she stopped asking herself 18 months ago because the answer was too expensive to think about. Helping them is a luxury. The system doesn't measure help. The system measures time, adherence, and call volume. If you help a customer and it takes 9 minutes, the system sees a 9-minute call. If you read the script and close in 5 minutes, the system sees a 5-minute call. The 5-minute call scores higher. The system doesn't know if the customer hung up angry or satisfied. The system knows how long the call lasted. That's it. Colton takes 12 more calls before lunch. Each one follows a similar pattern. A customer who has been on hold for 20-plus minutes, who has a problem that requires explanation and context and the specific human exchange that can only happen when 2 people talk to each other with patience and attention, and a system that gives the agent 6 minutes and a script and a quality metric that counts the seconds. At noon, he walks to the break room. The break room is a windowless rectangle with vending machines, a microwave, 4 tables, and 22 chairs for 420 agents. The math, 22 chairs for 420 people, is the break room's way of saying what the company says with its staffing and its scripts and its 6-minute targets. There isn't enough for everyone, so take what you can and be quick about it. Suki is eating a granola bar at one of the tables. The granola bar is lunch. Colton learns this over the 15-minute break. The break that is technically 30 minutes, but that agents take as 15 because the queue doesn't stop and the calls don't stop, and the hold times are already 37 minutes, and every minute an agent spends in the break room is a minute added to the hold time of a customer who is listening to the 12 bars of soft jazz for the 28th time. You eat a granola bar for lunch? Colton asks. I eat a granola bar for lunch because lunch is 15 minutes and the microwave line takes 10 and the vending machine takes 2. And I'd rather eat something fast and get back to the floor than spend my break waiting for a microwave. The break is 30 minutes. The break is 30 minutes on paper. On the floor, 30 minutes means the queue backs up, and when I come back, my first call is someone who's been on hold for 50 minutes, instead of 37 and 50-minute holds or worse. They're angrier. They've passed through frustration into fury, and fury is the first emotion I hear when I put the headset on and say, "Thank you for calling Sentinel Ridge," and they say, "I've been waiting almost an hour," and I say, "I apologize for the wait," and we both know the apology is worthless because the wait is the system, and the system doesn't apologize. If Untold Hearts has become part of your week, consider joining the channel membership. A few dollars a month keeps these stories coming. Links are in the description. Now, back to the story. Day 2, the denied claim. The call comes at 10:14 a.m. The caller has been on hold for 41 minutes, 41 minutes of the hold music that Sentinel Ridge licensed from a company that produces hold music. The same 12 bars of instrumental soft jazz that loop every 90 seconds, and that the callers hear an average of 27 times before a human answers, and that the agents hear as a faint background hum leaking from the headsets of every occupied cubicle, a constant ambient soundtrack of institutional waiting. Thank you for calling Sentinel Ridge Insurance. My name is Nathan. I'm here to help you today. Yeah, my claim was denied. The caller is a man. His voice is flat, not angry, not sad, flat, the particular flatness of a person who has exhausted all other emotional registers and has arrived at the frequency of pure resignation. His name is Gentry Moss. He is 44 years old. He has an auto policy. 6 weeks ago, his car was hit in a parking lot while he was inside a grocery store. The other driver left, hit and run, no note, no witness, no camera. Gentry filed a claim under his uninsured motorist coverage. The claim was denied. The denial letter, Colton pulls it up on the screen, says, "After review, your claim does not meet the criteria for coverage under your current policy. Specifically, the incident does not satisfy the documentation requirements for uninsured motorist claims as outlined in Section 14.2(b) of your policy agreement." Section 14.2(b). Colton reads the section on the screen. The section requires sufficient evidence of involvement by an uninsured or unidentified motorist, including but not limited to a police report filed within 24 hours of the incident, photographic evidence of damage consistent with a third-party collision, and a sworn statement from the policyholder. Gentry filed a police report. Gentry provided photographs. Gentry provided a sworn statement. The claim was denied because the police report was filed 27 hours after the incident, 3 hours past the 24-hour window specified in Section 14.2(b). 3 hours. Gentry was at the grocery store. He came out, saw the damage, drove home, called the police the next morning. The police came, took the report, documented the damage. 27 hours, 3 hours late. "Mr. Moss, I'm looking at your file. I see the denial is related to the timing of the police report." "I know what it's related to. I was 3 hours late filing the report. 3 hours. I didn't even see the damage until I came out of the store and it was dark, and I drove home and I called the police the next morning because I didn't know I was supposed to call them in the parking lot at 9 p.m. in the dark. Nobody told me there was a 24-hour window. I've been paying you people for 11 years and nobody ever told me that if someone hits my car and runs, I have exactly 24 hours to file a report or you don't have to pay. The policy does outline. The policy is 47 pages. I didn't read 47 pages. Nobody reads 47 pages. I signed the policy because your commercial said, 'When you need us, we're there.' I needed you. You're not there. You're behind a clause on page 31 that says I was 3 hours too late and 11 years of premiums don't matter." Colton looks at the screen. The script says, "I understand your frustration, Mr. Moss. The denial was based on the terms of your policy. I can connect you with our appeals department if you'd like to dispute the decision. The appeals department, the department that reviews denied claims and that overturns approximately 6% of them. A number that Colton now knows because Gian told him on day 1, casually, the way call center employees share statistics the way soldiers share casualty figures. Factually, without emotion, because emotion at that volume would be unbearable. Mr. Moss, I hear you. Can you hold for 1 minute? I've been holding for 41 minutes. What's one more? Colton flags the claim. He walks to Ji-yeon. Denied auto claim. Hit and run. The guy filed the police report 27 hours after the incident instead of 24. 3 hours. He's been a policyholder for 11 years. Section 14.2, B. Yeah. That section denies about 200 claims a year. The 24-hour window was added in 2018 by the legal team to reduce fraud. The fraud reduction was estimated at $400,000 annually. The premium revenue from the policyholders who get denied and don't renew is approximately $600,000 annually. We save $400,000, we lose $600,000. The net is negative $200,000. I showed this math to my manager 2 years ago. What happened? He forwarded it to legal. Legal said the clause is within policy guidelines. The math doesn't matter when the legal team says it's compliant. Colton goes back to the phone. Manet, Mr. Moss, I want to be honest with you. The denial is technically correct under the policy, but I believe the policy is wrong. 3 hours shouldn't void 11 years of premiums. I'm going to escalate this to the highest level I can reach. I'm not going to promise you a result, but I'm going to promise you that someone with authority will review your claim, not the appeals department, not a form letter, a person. Silence. Then 3 words. Why bother trying? Gentry Moss hangs up. Colton sits in the cubicle. The headset is on his ears. The screen shows the call ended. Duration 9 minutes, 14 seconds. Target 6 minutes. The 3 words are in the room. They're in the cubicle and in the headset and in the compressed foam that smells like the shift before. And they are the sound of a man who called his insurance company for help and was told that 3 hours voids 11 years and that the clause on page 31 is more important than the promise on the billboard. Why bother trying? The 3 words land in Colton's chest like the phone call about Hugo. Not the content, the weight. The weight of a person who has given up. The weight of a customer who called a company that says we're there and discovered that we're there means we're there if you file the paperwork within 24 hours and read all 47 pages and comply with section 14.2, B, and don't make the mistake of being human in a system designed for compliance. Suki heard it too. She heard it from the next cubicle, not eavesdropping, just proximity. The acoustic reality of a call center where the cubicle walls are 4 feet tall and the headsets leak sound and the conversations overlap like waves. You okay? She asks. No. That happens. The ones who hang up are worse than the ones who yell. The ones who yell are still fighting. The ones who hang up have stopped. How many hang up? On me? 2 or 3 a week. Usually denied claims, usually people who've been paying premiums for years and find out on the worst day of their life that the fine print matters more than the billboard. They don't yell. They go quiet. Then they say something, not always the same words, but the same thing. What's the point? Never mind. Forget it. And then click. The line goes dead. And I'm sitting here with the headset on and the next call's already coming in and I have 6 minutes to move on. How do you move on? You don't. You take the next call. You read the script. You say, I understand how frustrating this must be. And you mean it. You actually mean it because you do understand. You understand better than anyone because you hear it 12 times a day. But the script takes the meaning out. The script makes it sound like a line, and the customer hears a line, and you move on, and you do it again and again. 240 times a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. That's 12,000 times a year that I say, I understand, and 12,000 times a year that someone on the other end of the line doesn't believe me. Suki has been at the call center for 3 years. She has a degree in communications from Ohio State. She wanted to work in public relations, the kind of communication that involves crafting messages and building relationships and the creative application of language to solve problems. Instead, she works in a cubicle where the language is pre-crafted and the relationships last 6 minutes and the problems are solved by reading a response from a screen. She stays because the job has health insurance and the health insurance covers her mother's cardiac medication. And the cardiac medication costs $1,100 a month without insurance, and $1,100 a month is the price of Suki's compliance with a system she knows is broken. I applied for a corporate position once, she says, customer experience specialist, 8th floor. The job was writing scripts. She laughs, the specific laugh of a person who sees the irony and has stopped finding it funny. I'd be writing the scripts that I spend my days reading. I didn't get the job. They said I lacked strategic communication experience. I communicate with 240 customers a day, but that's not strategic. That's operational. The 8th floor writes the words, the 2nd floor reads them, and the customer hears a machine. Colton takes off the headset. He sets it on the desk. He doesn't log out. The system will flag him as not available, and the queue will route his calls to other agents, and the other agents will absorb his calls the way they absorb everything. Silently, dutifully, with the $11 headsets and the 6-minute targets and the scripts that say, I understand, when nobody does. He walks to the parking lot. He sits in his car. The parking lot is the call center's decompression chamber, the place where agents go on their breaks and after their shifts to sit in their cars and breathe and stare at the windshield and process the 12 hours of conversations that live in their heads the way a song lives in your head after you've heard it too many times. Except the song is people in crisis and the chorus is, I understand how frustrating this must be. And the melody is the 12 bars of hold music that loop every 90 seconds. Colton sits in the driver's seat. The call center building fills the windshield. 2 stories of glass and concrete, the converted TJ Maxx, the acoustic ceiling tiles, and the 400 cubicles, and the 400 people who put on headsets every morning and absorb the frustration and the grief and the anger of 2.6 million policyholders who are having the worst day of their lives and who call the number on their insurance card and get a 43-minute hold time, a 12-bar jazz loop, and a script that says, I understand. He calls Gentry Moss from his personal phone. Mr. Moss, this is Colton Zale. I'm the CEO of Sentinel Ridge Insurance. Silence. The specific silence of a man who hung up 20 minutes ago after saying 3 words that meant he was done, and who is now hearing the name of the company's CEO on his phone, and who is processing this information with the same incredulity that a person processes a call from a ghost. It doesn't compute. It shouldn't be happening, and yet the voice is real. How did you get this number? From your claim file. I was the agent on your call. Nathan Zeller is a cover name. I've been working in the call center this week, answering phones, and your call was the one that... I need you to hear this from me directly. Hear what? Your claim is approved. I'm overriding the denial personally. The repair estimate will be processed today. You'll receive the payment within 5 business days. And I'm sorry. Not the scripted apology. I'm sorry that my company made you say those 3 words. Why bother trying? Those words are going to change this company. I don't know if they can change your experience. I know they already changed mine. Another silence. Longer. The silence of a man who said, why bother trying, because he believed it, and who is now being told that the CEO of the company heard him and that the 3 words he said in surrender are being treated as something that matters, not a metric, not a data point, not a customer satisfaction input, something that matters. I appreciate that, Gentry says. His voice is different, not flat anymore, but careful, the voice of a man who is being offered something and who isn't sure if it's real. But why were you in the call center? Because my father was a claims adjuster. He sat at kitchen tables. He drove to every claim. He showed up. I built this company on showing up, and then I stopped showing up. I replaced showing up with a script and a queue and a 24-hour deadline that nobody reads and that voids 11 years of loyalty over 3 hours. I was in the call center because I needed to hear what showing up sounds like when you're on hold for 41 minutes. It sounds like nothing. It sounds like jazz that loops every 90 seconds. I know. I'm going to fix that too. Day 5. The floor meeting. Colton doesn't go back to the 31st floor. He stays on the call center floor. He stands on a chair, a rolling office chair, which is a precarious platform but the right altitude for what he needs to say. in the center of the second floor of the Dublin call center, surrounded by 420 cubicles and 420 agents who are looking at him with the collective expression of a workforce that has seen management stand on chairs before, and that has learned that management standing on chairs usually means a speech about metrics followed by no meaningful change. "My name is Colton Zale," he says. "I'm the CEO of this company. I've been sitting in cubicle 247 for 5 days, answering phones, reading scripts, and listening to people who've been on hold for 40 minutes tell me that my company failed them." The floor goes quiet. Not the quiet of surprise, the quiet of 400 people doing the rapid calculation of what this means for them personally, the way employees always calculate when the CEO appears unexpectedly on the floor. "I'm not here to evaluate you. I'm here because a customer said 3 words to me on Tuesday that I haven't been able to stop hearing." He said, "Why bother trying?" He said it because his claim was denied over a 3-hour technicality after 11 years of premiums. He said it because he called 3 times and waited 40 minutes each time and got a script each time, and nobody, not the system, not the process, not the script, gave him a reason to believe that trying was worth it. He looks at Ji-yeon. She is standing at the supervisor station with her arms at her sides and her face doing the thing that faces do when a manager who has been saying the same things for 7 years hears those things repeated by the person who could actually change them. Here's what's changing. The approval queue. 4 new senior adjusters hired within 30 days. The queue will clear in 6 weeks. The daily deficit of 220 claims will become a daily surplus. No claim will sit in the queue longer than 5 business days. If a claim involves water, mold, fire, or structural damage, the review happens within 48 hours, period. The script is gone, not modified, gone. Agents will have a conversation guide, opening, key questions, resolution paths. But the words are yours. If a customer is angry, you don't read an empathy statement from page 42. You listen, you respond, you speak like a person to a person. If you need training on how to have a real conversation with a customer in crisis, we will provide that training. What we will not provide is a script that turns you into a vending machine. The hold time. The target is under 10 minutes by Q2. This requires 40 new agents. The hiring starts Monday. The cost is $1.9 million annually. The revenue loss to the 28% abandonment rate, the people who hang up, who cancel, who leave, is estimated at $4.2 million annually. The investment pays for itself. The math is obvious. The math was always obvious. The math was sitting in a spreadsheet on the 8th floor while the phones were ringing on the 2nd floor and nobody connected the two. The 6-minute call target is eliminated. Calls take as long as calls take. If a customer needs 8 minutes, the call takes 8 minutes. If a customer needs 20 minutes because she's 67 years old and her basement has mold and she's been waiting 3 weeks and she needs someone to listen, the call takes 20 minutes. The quality metric is no longer duration. The quality metric is resolution. Did the customer's problem get solved? Yes or no? That's the metric. That's the only metric. Section 14.2 BB, the 24-hour police report window, is under review. Every denial clause in the policy is under review. Any clause that saves the company money by denying valid claims on technicalities will be rewritten or eliminated. The legal team will be informed that compliance is not the same as integrity and that a technically correct denial of an 11-year customer over 3 hours is a legal success and a moral failure. And the company will not choose legal success over moral integrity. My father was a claims adjuster, Colton says. He drove to every claim. He sat at kitchen tables. He wrote checks. He told me once, the check is not the product is showing up. We stopped showing up. We replaced showing up with a 43-minute hold time and a script and a clause on page 31. We're going to show up again. He steps off the chair. One more thing. Every member of the executive team, every VP, every director, every person in the headquarters tower answers phones 1 day per quarter. Here, this floor, this headset. They take the calls, they hear the hold music, they read the scripts that they approved, and then they come back to the 8th floor and make decisions that reflect what they heard. 3 months later, hold time, 11 minutes, not the 10-minute target, 11. Close, getting closer. The 40 new agents are trained and on the floor, and the queue is shorter, and the phones are answered faster, and the 28% abandonment rate has dropped to 14. 14% of callers still hang up. That's 14% too many. But it's half of what it was, and the trajectory is downward. And the trend is the thing that tells you whether a system is getting better or getting worse. The approval queue cleared in 5 weeks, 1 week ahead of schedule. Mrs. Fontaine's claim was processed the Thursday after Colton's call, just as he promised. The mold remediation was covered, the basement was repaired. Mrs. Fontaine sent a letter, a physical letter, handwritten, mailed to the call center address. The letter said, "Nathan called me back on Thursday like he said he would. He's the first person at your company who did what they said they'd do. I don't know who Nathan is, but you should promote him." The letter is framed in Colton's office. Next to it is a sticky note in Colton's handwriting. She doesn't know. She just knows someone kept their word. Gentry Moss received his payment. The repair was completed. He didn't renew his policy. He'd already switched carriers by the time the check arrived. Colton called him to apologize. Gentry listened. Then he said, "I appreciate the call, but I'm not coming back. You can't unring a bell. The 3 words are the 3 words." Colton didn't argue. The 3 words are the 3 words. Why bother trying is the sound of a company losing a customer permanently, and permanently means the 11 years of premiums that preceded the denial and the 20 years of premiums that would have followed are gone. A lifetime value of approximately $47,000, lost over a 3-hour technicality that saved the company $1,800 in claim payment. The math. Hugo's math. The kitchen table math that doesn't require a spreadsheet because it's obvious. You can't save $1,800 and lose $47,000 and call it a good decision. You can't write "when you need us, we're there" on a billboard and then not be there when a man calls 3 times and waits 40 minutes each time and gets a script each time and finally says the 3 words that mean he's done. Section 14.2b was rewritten. The 24-hour window became a 72-hour window with a good faith exception for circumstances beyond the policyholder's control. The legal team objected. Colton overruled them. "Compliance without integrity is a contract," he said. "Compliance with integrity is a promise. We sell promises." Gian was promoted. Not to a corporate position, she didn't want one. The same way every good floor manager doesn't want to leave the floor because the floor is where the work happens and corporate is where the work is discussed. She became Director of Agent Experience, a new role reporting directly to the COO with a mandate to rebuild the call center from the inside. Her first act, she removed the call duration metric from the quality dashboard. Her second act, she replaced the hold music. The new hold music is still soft jazz, but it's different soft jazz. A local Columbus musician that Gian found recorded in a real studio with actual instruments. Because the details matter, and the hold music is a detail, and the detail is the first thing a customer hears, and the first thing should not sound like it costs $11. Her third act was the break room. 22 chairs became 60. The windowless rectangle got a window, an actual window, cut into the exterior wall by a contractor who Gian hired with the facilities budget that Colton tripled. The vending machines stayed, but a refrigerator was added and a counter with a coffee machine that makes decent coffee, not the machine that dispenses the brown liquid that the agents call floor coffee because it tastes like the floor. Agents now take actual 30-minute breaks. The queue absorbs the absence because the 40 new agents create the coverage that allows 400 people to eat lunch like human beings. Suki was promoted, not to the 8th floor, to a new position that didn't exist before, script transition lead. Her job is to dismantle the playbook page by page and replace it with the conversation guides that the agents now use. She works on the 2nd floor, not the 8th. She works in a cubicle, not an office. She wears the headset 3 days a week. Still taking calls, still talking to customers, still doing the work. Because the person who writes the conversation guide should be the person who uses it, the same way a chef who writes the menu should work the kitchen. The first conversation guide Suki wrote was 3 pages, not 200. 3. The guide covers How to listen when someone is angry, how to explain a denial without reading a clause, how to say, "I'm sorry" and mean it, and how to stay on the line when a customer goes quiet. Because the quiet ones, the ones who stop talking, the ones who are about to say, "Why bother trying?" Those are the ones who need a person, not a script. And the person should know how to sit in the silence and not rush to fill it with a line from page 42. The headsets were replaced. Every cubicle. 420 new headsets. $26 a piece. Better foam. Better microphone. The kind of equipment that says, "The tool you use to do your job matters, and the person who wears this headset matters." And the $11 headset was a message, and the message was wrong. The total cost, $10,920. The company's annual marketing budget for billboard advertising, $4.2 million. The headsets cost less than 3 billboards. The headsets matter more than every billboard combined because the headsets are the point of contact, the physical object that connects the agent's voice to the customer's ear. And the point of contact is the product, not the billboard. Colton answers phones on the first Wednesday of every month. He drives to Dublin. He sits in cubicle 247. He puts on the headset, the new headset, $26, a better foam, and he takes calls. He takes 8 to 10 calls per session. He stays on each one as long as it takes. He doesn't read from a guide. He listens. He responds. He does the thing that Hugo did at kitchen tables for 36 years. He shows up. Last month, he took a call from a woman whose garage had flooded after a storm. She'd been on hold for 9 minutes, down from 37, not perfect, getting better. She started the call the way most customers start calls, braced, defensive, expecting the script. "I know you're going to read me a bunch of policy language," she said. "Just tell me if I'm covered." "You're covered," Colton said, "and I'm not going to read you policy language. I'm going to ask you what happened." She told him. She talked for 11 minutes. She described the garage and the water and the boxes of her late husband's things that were ruined, his tools, his fishing gear, the kind of possessions that have no monetary value and infinite sentimental value, and that an insurance claim can replace in dollars but not in meaning. Colton listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't watch the clock. He filed the claim. He flagged it for expedited review. He told her someone would call within 48 hours, and someone did. The tagline hasn't changed. "When you need us, we're there." But the meaning has. There used to mean there in the commercial, there on the billboard, there in the hold music. There now means there in the cubicle, there on the phone, there in the conversation that takes as long as it takes because the person on the other end of the line is not a metric. The person is the product. The person was always the product. Hugo knew. Colton forgot. 3 words reminded him, why bother trying? Because someone has to answer the phone, and when they do it should sound like a person, not a script, not a clause, not a playbook that costs $350,000, a person with a name, who listens, who stays on the line. Thank you for watching this story. If it reminded you that the distance between a tagline and a hold time is the distance between what companies promise and what companies deliver, share it. Subscribe to Untold Hearts for more stories about the people on the other end of the line and the systems that make them sound like machines. Tell us in the comments, have you ever said, why bother trying to a company that promised to be there?